We are Fortnite gamers, mobile players, paywall haters, entertainers, hot as lasers. Tell your neighbor, do a favor, you should subscribe, and you'll see more Knightlightning. He's not lightning, so enlightening, not so frightening. Hit like, and you'll see more. Who farted? He's who farted, not faint-hearted, nor outsmarted. Let's get started.
Hi there, folks. Welcome back to Fortnite Gamers. I'm Knightlightning.
And I'm WhoFartd.
Be warned, for this channel contains salty language and often adult content. If that is not your bag, baby, go to somebody else's channel.
And if you have little kids in the room, earmuffs. Although I've got headphones on, so the earmuffs really don't do anything for the sound. But either way, it's the principle of the matter.
We are going to be discussing today the nerf that happened to Fairy Slumber. You will not read about it almost anywhere in the official news, and we're going to show you the official news that happened. But this was a silent nerf, and we have video footage to show you of the before nerf and after nerf, so you can see with your own two eyes what is actually going on here.
Wait, is a silent nerf kind of like a silent fart that if nobody notices, it really didn't count as one?
I can tell you for sure, like a silent fart, it is in fact deadly.
Okay, good. That's what I just want to make sure I had the proper analogy there.
Silent but deadly. Let's review the context of this whole thing. So, as many of you know, but some of you may not be aware, Fairy Slumber is, or at least was, one of the best spells in the game by far until recently. And the reason is because not only can you put adjacent targets asleep for a turn, the primary target can go to sleep for 2 turns if you have it fully upgraded, and you have a full 40% speed meter removed. And one of the reasons it was broken is because even if the characters had evasion or harmful immunity even, they would get hit with this. They wouldn't go to sleep, but it would still, no matter what, reduce the speed meter. That has changed. Now, one reason that's changed is because the harmful immunity update has made it so that speed reduction cannot go through if someone has harmful immunity. But like I said, this was not in the news. On the update that took place on November 25th, so going back in time a bit here, we have this one line here that we have discussed in this channel before, that silence no longer affects passive abilities from working. Now, this was a huge game changer on its own. This by itself makes Elsa better, Baymax better, Kristoff better, because if these characters were silenced, so much of their passive abilities that were so critical, think of other characters like Cobra Bubbles, where their passive abilities are so crucial to how their characters work, that if you just silence them, it would shut them down. And I think this was a positive change, even though it's been hurting my team, just because of the overall health of the game. Beast has come out, and he's great, and they needed to fix this so that his abilities aren't shut down just because someone's running a silence team. The game needs to be able to move on eventually from silence being the be-all, end-all of mechanics, and that is why that change was necessary. But what was not said in that disclaimer is that update did not just affect silence, that affected sleep. The same nerf that they just did to silence is also affecting sleep, which changes how useful Fairy Slumber is. Don't believe me? Check this out. So check this out. This was a video I took of the team I was running in, I think this was PvP, and this showcases what happened. So if we look at Kristoff's kit for a second, here's Kristoff's passive ability, Lost in the Woods. On teammate defeat, cleanse all harmful effects on this character. Okay, so check this out. This would not activate if the character was silenced or sleeping. Here's the evidence of that. So this is me attacking this team. I have Kristoff asleep. Now watch this. Killing off the troll here. Kaboom, and look, Kristoff still asleep. This, for me, was a huge game changer because I fight a lot of Big Hero 6 and Frozen teams and Silence teams and all that. And
wait, what are you talking about frozen teams? I've never heard of these frozen teams. And why have you not faced Paul McCartney teams?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, WhoFartd. For you, it's Paul
I was going to say, call him by the right proper name.
For those who don't know, WhoFartd calls them Paul McCartney teams because he could not remember the name of the song "Let It Go." So in his
no. It started out that I couldn't remember Frozen to begin with, and then I knew there was a song that sounded like "Let It Go." I didn't remember what it was. "Let It Go." So I assumed it was "Let It Be" or "Live and Let Die." And what's the commonality between all those? Paul McCartney. Hence, Paul McCartney teams.
Exactly. Instead of "Let It Go." I love that.
I think it's a logical regression. And obviously, the movie's gotten so much better now that it's got its tie-ins to Paul McCartney.
Oh, it's hilarious. So yes, the Paul McCartney team on this channel is the Frozen Squad. So okay, so we see this and I win. Great, excellent. So let's move on to the next portion here. This was a Sorcerer's Tournament match from a few days ago. So this is after the nerf to Silence, which again said nothing about sleep. And here I go, ready to use my Fairy Slumber. See, Kristoff is asleep for 2 turns. Now, let's see what happens. I kill off Anna. Boom! Kristoff is awake. He cleansed his harmful effects. Because it was Anna who got killed, he got his full turn meter and is now taunting. Now, a lot of people...
But let's put this in context. Now it's becoming a little real. Because if I heard an exploding suitcase, I'd probably wake up too. Just saying.
You think it's... Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I think they're adding some realism to the game finally, which is obviously needed in a game about cartoon characters.
Oh, jeez. Well, look, I still won, but it's a harder match. And my Fairy Slumber has absolutely been nerfed because I used to be able to put Baymax to sleep and kill off a character and he would stay asleep. Because Baymax has a kind of similar passive ability to Kristoff, actually. So Baymax's passive ability called Your Personal Healthcare Companion. The second portion is when a Big Hero 6 teammate falls below 30% health, Baymax cleanses. Now, the language here is a little different than it used to be. But essentially, it was the same thing. He would cleanse harmful effects and do his thing. So here's a showcase as well of me taking on almost a full Tier 7 Baymax team with Hero and Dash. Dash is not Tier 7. He's Tier 6 in this.
So in other words, this is the equivalent of a normal-sized guy not quite fighting the Undertaker, but let's call it Kane instead.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a battle I'm supposed to be able to win. Here's me taking on what is essentially a Tier 7 Baymax team with Dash. This is PvP, and this person I'm fighting against is not on auto. So this is going to showcase 2 things. It's going to showcase a bit of the team I'm using in PvP at Sorcerer's Tournament, as well as the way Fairy Slumber used to operate on Baymax.
Okay, I got to ask a simple question. Why, if somebody's attack is based on rollerblading around you, is there not just a natural passive ability to just trip them and then their entire attack is over?
That's an interesting point.
Or just the move of put a stick in front of you and they'll go flying.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Jafar's got one. He just lays down his cane, and boom, Wheels is knocked over and hurt.
Yeah. So remember, what we just read was that as soon as one of Baymax's teammates or Big Hero 6 person falls below 30% health, he is supposed to cleanse his buffs. Now look, he's asleep right now. So you see that? Honey Lemon just went below 30%, and Baymax is still asleep. Now this video was taken, I'm going to guess, 2 weeks ago. Now, if you were to do this exact same run, same scenario today, Baymax will wake up immediately because the sleep does not affect passive abilities anymore. And I think I'll just let this run so they can, everybody can see some of the ways I've been playing out this team.
Okay, how the hell did Wheels all of a sudden do like insane damage? Like it just looked like he was throwing a ping, like I don't know, what's the game that you pull the thing and you paddles and
yes,
pinball. That's it. That's what it was kind of looking like far more than I ever experienced.
Well, part of the issue is when Go-Go gets past tier 7 and is really starting to hit those tier 7.5 marks, she could do so much damage. And that's what's really tricky. What's really tricky is you think you're fighting tier 7, but you don't really know if the person just got tier 7 or if they're one piece away from tier 8. It's going to read the same number. The only thing that would give you a clue is the power level difference. But sometimes you're fighting much beefier characters than you think you are. And the only way you're going to find that out is after they start smashing you.
That's one of the things that I've always been surprised about this game. And if we compare it to Star Wars, until you leveled off the entire level, you wouldn't get credit for those parts on the character's attacks or defense numbers or whatever it is. Here, you get credit right away. So I don't love that there's not some indicator to show your true power levels, because especially between 7 and 8, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's huge. It's completely huge. The only thing it might affect is I don't know if your stone affects your stats unless you're completely tiered up. Like, I'll give you an example.
That's a good question, because that's also something that came into play with what was the thing that was in Star Wars that was equivalent to stones?
Yeah.
Mods, thank you.
So what we're talking about is, like, let's say if I were to let's say I were to upgrade Jasmine with the speed stone. This 15% speed, if I were to upgrade it, is built on top of her base stats. So if you're in the middle of tiering up Jasmine, for example, when you add like let's say if I were to go here and put this, there we go. Here we go. Let's say if I was to add this Warded Shadowfell Wind gear piece to Jasmine, I don't think, or at least it's not obvious to me, that this plus 10 is being added to her true base stats, even though it's going to add that plus 10 speed. But for setting a new baseline to then add the speed stones benefits, I don't know if that actually takes place yet until you fully tier up your character. So unless I tier her up all the way to tier 8 is going to be the time where I believe this plus 10 will be added to her baseline stats that would then give me an additional boost by having that speed stone on her. So in other words, if I were to have a perfect speed stone on Jasmine, that 15% is not being added to that plus 10 in the tier 7.5 or tier 8 gear until I bring her up to tier 8 completely. Again, I'm not entirely sure that's how it works, but based on our experience with other similar games, that is my guess. So who farted? We have seen and confirmed just now that sleep clearly does not work the way it used to. So what is your take on this? Was this a silent nerf Glue did intentionally? Was this something that was completely done by accident? Any clue?
So I don't think this is done entirely by accident. I think this is, like always, something done to fix a future mistake that they've already identified, or a current one that just hasn't been uncovered. So I 100% believe this is Glue fixing another mistake while creating a new one.
Would you view it as a mistake? Like, did Sleep really deserve this kind of nerf, would you say?
It doesn't make much. Okay. For certain characters, I believe their passives should not be stopped, but I think that there's a level of nuance to this that needs to be instituted, because it's clearly broken when you see what happens to Kristoff. And that's what Glue doesn't do, is they don't take into account the, like, let's say the overall goal is just to change it so passives should be available for the most part, but they don't go into that nuance that says, like, not all passives should be, some shouldn't be. So, like, we should allow the passives, and I'm not saying this is actually the case, but for Elsa, because Elsa's is not going to take her out of that sleep state, but we shouldn't allow it for Kristoff. That level of degree and granularity is what Glue just doesn't do and continues to fail at time and time again. So I think that they did this for a good reason, but they once again fail at their execution, because literally I'm convinced that they have hired 14-year-olds who have just finished their third programming class ever in high school, and just saying that they're also going to quality test at the same time, even though they don't have any DevOps to begin with.
I think your point is well taken, because I think if you earn a character like Elsa, yes, there's certain qualities to her kit. As much as I hate fighting her, hate dealing with her in all the game modes, I recognize that you had to really work to earn this character. You had to farm up 5 different characters, get the incentive star, complete her event, and then tier this character up. I think characters like Elsa might have, to your point, some kind of nuance to their abilities where, yes, this is affected by passives or is not. That I think characters that Kristoff really don't deserve at all. Kristoff is an unbelievable tank, even when Sleep or Fairy Slumber could affect him. But now that Silence and Sleep doesn't stop him from just refreshing, you kill a troll on the other side, you kill a little minion or bucket of soldiers with a cauldron, and he's going to purge all his debuffs. And if it's added, take a bonus turn, no matter what the debuff is on him, seems a little crazy to me.
I agree completely. But this is par for the course with Glue, and we should really not be surprised in the least bit. The only thing we should be surprised about is when Glue does something and doesn't break something else. That's what we should get surprised. Like, whenever I think of Glue doing something, have you ever seen the movie, where they have the drinking team, beer league?
Beer Fest?
Beer Fest.
I actually have not, but there's only one trailer I've seen in the last 20 years that matches that description.
Okay, I highly, highly recommend it. It is funny, and it's right up our comedy angle. And there's one scene where they're like in a competition, and they look like they're losing to the German team, and then all of a sudden, and because they're drunk out of their minds, and all of a sudden they turn around going, "We're not that drunk," and like slow played them a little bit. But one of the guys is still clearly annihilated beyond his mind. Right. That's kind of like what I think glue is whenever they get something partially right.
And they're 14-year-olds. Okay.
Well, that's why everybody's surprised, because usually 14-year-olds can't drink.
Yeah, I'll be honest, there are so many bugs going on, but there's bugs actually inside of Belle's kit right now. I think we'll save some of that for another video, but this was the obvious thing to me because I've run Fairy Slumber for a long time, and there's been so many people clamoring for it to be nerfed that it's just interesting that a nerf finally came, and it very likely, in my opinion, came by accident.
Let's be honest. It came not by accident. It came by fuck up.
I think
let's call a spade and stop dancing around it.
Moving to a different topic, I would like to thank DefaultDan on Twitch, because last night he had me and DisneyDaddy on his live stream. It's really cool. And for those of you who don't know, DefaultDan is part of the GOAT fan of clubs, which WhoFartd and I and also Littlefinger are part of. And he's a really cool guy. I'm going to put a link in the description below to his Twitch stream. And DisneyDaddy as well has his own YouTube channel. So it's cool to see this. What DefaultDan, what he did last night, he spent an hour showcasing how to beat Glut the Shark, which is by far the hardest part of the raid. And what happened about an hour into the video was he brought me and DisneyDaddy on, and I think we were both on for another 2 hours. So DefaultDan does these really cool long-form live streams where he does all this stuff, and Twitch is, I know, really cool because you get to put in like all your chats. And DefaultDan is a tremendous host because he really responds to all of the comments and will address things. And from what I've seen, the community inside of his chats are really cool. Maelstrom, I just got to give you a shout out because you trolled me really well in that chat. I got to give credit where credit is due. But it was really cool. What's interesting about this particular one was DisneyDaddy is actually the #3 player in the entire world. Like, you can actually pull up the stats. He's a part of one of the biggest clubs, Disney Titans. I think what he was explaining yesterday is how they were beating the raid in like an hour and a half. Heroic. They beat the heroic raid in under 2 hours. And they're just getting faster and faster and faster at it. I think DisneyDaddy has like almost every character T7. He has 13 characters tier 8. So what was cool is we went over a lot of topics, like our thoughts on the ursularaid, the fact that we can beat it already, the solo issue, the characters we're looking forward to seeing. We went on a whole range of topics. And what was cool was I am mostly free to play. Until very recently, I've been doing some spending on Beauty and the Beast, because I would like to get Beast up there. It's the first legendary I'm really going after first time. But as you all know, my good friend WhoFartd spends literally zero money. So we come from a place of very free-to-play friendly on this channel. We don't give you advice, oh yeah, farm up this character and do this or that, without really taking into context that not everybody's infinite resources out there. But what's cool was the parity between me and DisneyDaddy, because this guy has like everything at a moment's notice. So we have very different
I'd love to know one simple thing here. What does DisneyDaddy do for a living that affords him the ability to do this? And I don't mean this as a shot wise, because I'm really curious, because apparently I need a different job.
It's kind of funny considering how professionally successful you are. I'm not going to give any.
You can always be more successful.
Yeah, this is true. Well, actually, what was really cool is DisneyDaddy, not only him, his whole family's into this game. He's got like kids who play this game. His dad plays this game. Like he was explaining that at Thanksgiving dinner, it was just like 8 people playing Disney Sorcerers Arena
cool.
talking about it. And I'm like, you know what?
That's cool.
If I had that kind of community like at home playing this game, I might wail out a lot more than I would have otherwise.
Oh, completely agree. Completely agree. Like if I had that structure around me all the time, I might break from my free to play and I might spend like $5 a month.
One thing we get into is the Olay offers as well.
I was going to say I didn't want to point it out, but your skin is looking quite nice.
Oh, thank you. Given the amount of Olay deals I took advantage of, my family should have phenomenal looking skin from here until Armageddon. So.
Sure, your family. Wink, wink.
I love it. But yeah, I just wanted to plug DefaultDan's channel and DisneyDaddy as well for being a guest with me on DefaultDan's thing. So definitely check out DefaultDan's Twitch stream. Really cool dude and very gracious host. I really appreciate his doing.
And I'll not only say that as someone who was on it previously, super knowledgeable.
Yes, he really is. He knows. He's very tuned into the high level theory crafting because as opposed to WhoFartd and I, who theory craft a lot, they have the kind of characters where they can really test what a tier 8 this or that really does in action, which is nice.
And right now I'm kind of theory crafting with tier 6, so it's not exactly on the same level.
Exactly. I'm actually going to be posting from my end the Twitch stream on YouTube, so that will be an upload probably in the next week.
I'll just say, if we can get Knight's Twitch stream up to 1,000 views, he told me that he will do a live striptease on YouTube in the next video. So, like, if you want to see that, get your friends and family to start watching the video.
Now, WhoFartd, you know I would never disrobe in public ever again.
Sober ever again.
Yeah, there you go. The meetings are really helping.
Strippers Anonymous.
Yeah. All right, I just want to jump to some comments.
To start out with, on the comments, Frank Lavro, I hope I have that saying that right. He asked a question on how to build a team or two based on characters that you can currently buy through the exchange and the different options. We love the idea of theory crafting that and going through what our recommendations are, but we actually are going to do that on the next video. So we're not forgetting about you. We are going to have that as a major topic for the next video. So please stay tuned for that.
And Frank, I am working on the audio. I don't know what's going on in my end these days, but I should have a fix soon. So I appreciate people's
seriously
patience on that.
Some of us care about our audio all the time, from the first video till the end. Some of us don't. So, you know, Frank, I don't know what to tell you, you know.
So full.
Thankfully, you can hear me loud and clear, and that's all that matters.
Cobb responded to regarding the manscaping. He said, "Who farted? I used it. I wasn't that happy with it. Wasn't an 80-pound product. Told them I nicked my nuts with it and wanted to return it for a refund."
I read this and I like almost did a spit take with my coffee, because like that is exactly what I would have said too. Is possibly send them a picture of my balls bleeding.
Yeah. Dennis Coleman, thank you for your comment, acknowledging you did not go with Big Hero 6 and are now grateful that you did not, since Beast is a hard counter to Big Hero 6. And I'm not going to say they're useless, because they're still extremely helpful in things like raids, but inside of 2 months, if you're going to start tier 7ing, tier 8ing certain characters, you might regret doing it with some of the other Big Hero 6 characters.
Although I'll say this, I don't outside of Bubblegum Girl and Mega Man, I don't ever really plan to go hard for Big Hero 6. I think they're going to be with Belle and Beast, they're going to kind of become afterthoughts.
Yeah, I think that is disappointing in a way, and I'm speaking of someone who hasn't really gone crazy for Big Hero 6, but like I like the way Wasabi's kit is, but Honey Lemon, especially with the changes to how silence and sleep apparently affects passive abilities, her passive is always going to have a place. And Hero, Hero is unbelievable. Only against a Beast team is Hero not unbelievable.
Agreed. Hero has standalone, and for anyone who hasn't figured it out, Hero kind of reminds me of Mega Man, so like they're one and the same.
Yes.
So I think Hero just has a utility that he is the Grand Admiral Thrawn of the game, in that you can plug and play him in anything, and I think that he's not quite power creep proof, but about as close to it in this game, outside of maybe Zerg.
Yeah.
And by the way, spoiler alert, but if anybody watched the latest Mandalorian episode, the fact that they said Grand Admiral Thrawn is in the universe was fucking awesome. So
yeah, that was the best Star Wars thing I have seen in a really long time.
No, I think they killed it with Ahsoka. I think they killed it with how Ahsoka led into Grand Admiral Thrawn. Like,
yeah,
big ups.
What could be more exciting than that? Like nothing.
Like, I did not expect them to bring Ahsoka in so soon.
Me neither.
At such a major part. I thought maybe we would just see her a little bit, not full blown the entire episode. And then to drop that she's hunting down Grand Admiral Thrawn, awesome. My only thing, and maybe somebody can correct it for me, isn't this supposed to take place after Star Wars, Rebels, and everything like that? So
well, it's 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So I believe it, yes, absolutely should be after Rebels, which I don't give a shit what anybody says. There is no such thing as Star Wars canon. It's complete nonsense. And if people really want to push back on me, I will do a whole video proving that it's all bullshit.
Oh, okay. I want to hit on something because we were discussing this before, and I know this has nothing to do with this game, but I'm assuming that 90% of our watchers are Star Wars fans. So, Ahsoka says, I've only known of one of your kind before, in reference to Grigor, Gregoff, whatever you want to call him, Baby Yoda. Gregu.
Actually, his name
all right?
is... Actually, his name should be Gizmo, because that's actually what he really looks like, which is why it works so well.
Not disagreeing, but either way, if Ahsoka met Yoda, that means Ahsoka had to meet Yaddle. Yaddle is also the same friggin' race as Yoda and is in episode 1. So you can go with your whole, no, it's not canon because there's no canon. If it's in a friggin' movie, it's canon.
Well, I don't think Ahsoka was born yet in episode 1 since Anakin was still a kid. But I don't know if that's true. But Yaddle is fake news. I don't know what to tell you.
but Yaddle died in Order 66. So
did he? Okay.
Ahsoka was she, because I'm assuming her and Yoda were hooking up secretly. Like, you can't have significant others.
And if Yaddle's a he, they were still just hooking up on a regular basis.
Hey, whatever floats your boat, Yoda. You got to figure Yoda at some point wanted some, but
how do you think it got the name, the Force?
But either way,
you just gotta force it. You gotta force your way in there.
Either way, they made a major continuity issue because they go, Yaddle didn't exist, even though the movies are more canon than anything else, because essentially that's what Disney said. But if we go by the true definition of canon, then since Disney's own took over any of the comic books that have been done, any of the cartoon TV shows, any of the movies, and now the Mandalorian live action TV show. The only movie that is not considered canon, which I think is bullshit, the Star Wars Christmas special.
I knew you were going to say that. All right.
Because I don't care what you... I just want to make one last statement. I don't care what you said. Luke Skywalker was on Kashyyyk. End of story.
All right. Moving on to our next commenter. If we get enough comments of wanting to do like a Star Wars thing, then we will do it. But we'll see. Mad Dog, I brought up the sheriff just for you because you were asking, since I run mainly Kingdom Team, why I'm not running sheriff. I have two major reasons, and you're not wrong that he's OP like crazy. The first reason is that I'm not really a character sheriff fan, so that's the first reason. And the second reason is the only reason sheriff is very usable and unbelievably broken because he's that broken, not broken OP. He's broken OP and isn't working properly. This passive is glitched like crazy. So the sheriff is just constantly stealing 30% of opponent's speed meter. Not 15% chance, but 100% chance. And even when you're gaining speed meter, that's counting as a helpful effect. So he'll just steal it. So I fought a battle the other day where Sheriff was doing his passive in between like every single one of my turns. And I'm not even a very buff heavy team, like a Big Hero 6 or some of the other ones out there. So I would not invest in a character I would not invest in a character who completely depends on taking advantage of a glitch.
Well, I'll say this one thing, and I'll defend the people who have invested on this character, because as we have seen, in terms of priority of fixes, the lesser movie characters are the last to get fixed. We still have some characters that have bugs from day one that are in let's call it a Robin Hood tiered movie. So I could see this not getting fixed for another 7 months as a possibility.
Look, in terms of priorities, there's clearly no rhyme or reason. There have been characters that are still broken since launch that have had other aspects of their kits nerfed while at the same time not fixing certain other aspects. So
look at your boy Merlin.
Yeah, he got fixed after 9 months, something like that. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Exactly.
And it's really you're doing guessing game. For me though, if it was just a matter of Savage starring a character, yeah, I'd go after Sheriff. But for me to be really competitive in PvP, you're looking at least at a tier 6, if not tier 7 plus investment. And when I look at characters, I look at whether I'm going to commit to them or not. That really has to do with not farming them up to 7-star, because that's not the hard part. The hard part and the real crunch is the gear. Do I want to tier 7 this character? That for me is where the rubber really meets the road. And because if they fix that Sheriff like the day after you hit tier 7, you're going to cry your eyes out.
Or it could be worse. You could have maxed out Madam Mim, and she wasn't good when you were doing it, and she's still not good now.
I
don't know who would do that.
Rub it salt in that wound. James Wiggins, I just want to say thank you for your support and your comment as well.
So I'm going to really fancy sign this one out of we came, we saw, we kicked ass on this video as always. Have a good night. Don't forget to like and subscribe.